Yo, what's up, guys? Mike Tron here with what I hope is going to be a very good, entertaining, and enlightening video. All right, something different. All right, so we're going to talk about electrolytes. We're going to talk about electrolytes from a different perspective, and this is going to kind of be my theory. Okay, now we already know generally electrolytes. What traditionally do we know of what we've been taught that the function of electrolytes is? So kind of regulates the fluids in our body, transports nutrients and waste. It has a lot to do with the nerve function of your muscles. All right, so those are and electrolytes are minerals, different minerals. All right, so like potassium, calcium, magnesium. Those are some electrolytes, to give you some examples. All right, now since we got that out of the way, I want to talk about electrolytes from a different perspective, my theory, and something that came to me and what I thought about. All right, so you know, I'm big on like always looking at words and etymology and things like that. So you know, I had thought about, like, they call it electrolyte. So it kind of made me think of electricity. You know what I mean? There's theories that, where's facts that we are electrical beings, okay? You know, and therefore I think about the transportation of energy too. So you always hear me talk about how things affect you on a physical level, and the physical functions that we can measure a lot of times, and they do studies and things, and that's how we come up with what we generally think and believe about, you know, nutrients and things like that, you know, studies over time. And so with electrolytes though, I was thinking about how it carries us. I was saying from a different perspective though, I talk about things from a spiritual perspective or energetic perspective, what it could do, right? Things that may haven't been I guess you could say solidified in modern science yet, or it's not in mainstream science or things like that, right? So I'm thinking about, it helps you conduct energy as well, spiritual energy, right? And keeping your chi up. All right, and I think it's very important for the body to have electrolytes for that reason. I think see, the thing is, you can't measure what you can't see. You know what I mean? You know, most with science can't measure what it can't see, and what it can't put under a microscope, maybe. You know what I mean? Because they can't see bacteria and organisms with your naked eye, but they know it exists because they can put certain things under a microscope. But with stuff like this, if you can't put it under a microscope, you can't measure what you can't see. So, oh, I thought that was a all right, but little buddy was moving fast through there. But so it makes sense to me though, that electrolytes help with carrying current and energy. All right, chi. All right. And so that's why the type of energy that you take in through all the different ways of consumption, you heard me say that before, you know, what you listen to, what you talk about, what you think, what you eat, things like that, right? What you study and things like that. Now, you can't help what other people do, but you got to be able to control things that you, like I said, consume as much as possible, okay? And how you interpret things, how you situate it, and what you make of it. All right, and you always want to keep yourself in a position to be able to conduct energy better. All right, it's obviously good energy, you know what I mean? You want to put yourself, that's what the consumption is about. You want to put yourself in a position to conduct high frequency energy as well as you possibly can. And especially with a lot of you guys on your spiritual path and spiritual journey, okay? The reason why a lot of your habits and things like that have to change and your patterns have to change is because if you don't conduct this energy well, or if you don't conduct it efficiently, then it could be it could be a more of a rockier and bumpier road. You've heard, if you guys, those of you who have done research on like Kundalini experiences and things like that, that's why a lot of time it is associated with or considered to be like psychosis or mental breakdowns and things like that. Even if you do all the things right, because as you are introduced to more and more energy, or you open up more and more, you know, the processing, you have to be able to process current. You know what I mean? You have to be able to process the energy, and you want to make that as smooth of a process as possible. So you guys always want to make sure you're getting your electrolytes in. So other good electrolyte foods are, of course, fruits and vegetables. Watermelon, different melons are very good for a combination of electrolytes like magnesium, sodium, well, not so much sodium, but sodium is a electrolyte. I forgot to mention that. Sometimes I'll take baking soda. I got a video I did years ago on baking soda, but I didn't mention the fact that it's actually an electrolyte. It's sodium bicarbonate, which is just an electrolyte too. So you want to be able to, I'll say it again, you want to be able to look at yourself as an antenna. You've heard me say that numerous times. You know what I mean? You have a nervous system, you have a brain. These things are just like antenna instruments, okay? And we are always being souped in all types of information. Nowadays we live with the internet and Wi-Fi and stuff like that. That's a whole nother form of communication and consumption. You know what I mean? They call it like smog or whatever. I don't want to tell you how bad it is or not. The fact that we are that we are like basically bathing in Wi-Fi all the time. All I can say is, what can we do about it? At the end of the day, you might as well let it benefit you. Try to evolve from it. Try to make it look at it this way, right? They had some fungi that thrived in Chernobyl. Look up Chernobyl for those of you who don't know what Chernobyl is. And it was it's a place in Europe that got that was pretty much decimated from radiation. There was like a chemical spill, something to that degree, and it was became very radioactive. People had to move out of everything, but and everything kind of died or mutated. You see what I'm saying? And so what happened was they found this fungus, these mushrooms that end up thriving, you know, that came about and that end up thriving in that environment. So that's the point I'm trying to make. And then a lot of you guys, what you got to realize is your DNA has the capacity and you have aspects of your DNA. I'm gonna just say DNA because I don't want to offend people by using certain words. Just say your DNA does have the ability, a lot of you guys, to be able to transmutate and adapt to any circumstance. So you just want to put yourself in the best position to be able to adapt to things. If it's things that's out beyond your control, all you could do is try to adapt to it and thrive in it. You know what I mean? Survive it and thrive in it, and find a way to thrive in it, like those mushrooms found a way to thrive in Chernobyl. You see what I mean? So electrolytes, I think, is very important for that, as far as you being a good conductor. You know what I mean? And conducting electricity and biophotons and things like that, and moving light, electrolytes, moving light through the body, communication through the body. Light is communication, electricity is communication. You know, things like that. So hopefully this was a good video, a good perspective, good way to look at things. Once again, it's my theory, all right? But hopefully it was at least an entertaining video. Peace.